You stand before a door. It doesn't wait for you to approach. It's already open. A dim light seeps through cracks in the stones, illuminating fine lines that lead into a corridor. You feel this door calling to you. With each step, you realize you're not just entering a space, you're stepping into the very essence of this place, into a void where you both exist and do not exist, where your inner world confronts reality. You rush into the dark corridor, each step echoing. Sand beneath your nails. The sound of a whetstone resonates in your ears. He is here. The warrior. The one who was your protection, your shield. He stands on an empty parade ground, surrounded by darkness, only the sound of the whetstone in his hands breaking the silence. You see his strength, his resilience. But this is not just a figure. This is you. This is you when you were closed off, protected from the world. This is you who built this fortress to remain whole. You stand and watch him. He doesn't turn, but you know he feels your steps, that he feels your presence. He turns, and his gaze is like cold metal, like the rasp of a whetstone biting into skin. He is silent, but the words are already in his eyes. You brought them here. I feel them. The noisy boy, and the one who fancies himself a king. I built this fortress so their chatter wouldn't lead us to ruin. Here is silence, here is safety. Leave, and leave them to me. You don't move, but inside, your heart beats faster. Inside, your body tenses, because you know he is right. This is your defense, your safe zone. He is your past, your strength, your security. But you didn't come to defend yourself. You came to conquer, to move forward. You feel a fire ignite within you. You are not alone. You are not solitary. The child and the king, they are with you. They are inside. They have become a part of you. You stand not just for yourself. You stand to move. You know you cannot be in this fortress because it is no longer yours. You stand here to tear down the wall, the very one you built to protect yourself. You raise the mirror, not as a weapon. You don't want to fight. You raise it not to see who you are. You raise it to show the warrior what he protects. You raise it and direct it not at yourself, but inward. You show the warrior not his face, but the face of the child. You show him what he didn't see in himself, what he hid, what he ran from. Look, you say, not at me. Look at yourself. You protected me for so long that you forgot who you were protecting. You saw enemies, but you forgot you were protecting the child, the one who lives inside the fortress. This is not a weapon. This is his world. This is what you protected. The warrior stands, silent. He looks at his reflection. His face disappears in the mirror, but a moment later you see him. You see his vulnerability, his fear, not his strength, not his armor, but the weakness he tried to hide, the fear that made him build this wall. He steps back. He begins to tremble. You feel his blade fall to the stone. In that moment, you understand. He is not an enemy. He is a protector who has lost his purpose. He doesn't know how to be when the purpose disappears. You don't let go of him. You don't lose this moment. You take the key and extend it to him. You were my protector. You were the one who stood at my borders, the one who upheld my fortress. But I don't need you for that anymore. I need you for something else. I need you for the journey. I need you to move forward. The warrior looks at the key. You see his hand tremble. He is used to gripping a weapon, but not this key. He slowly unclasps his palm, not without effort, and takes it. You feel each of his steps is difficult for him. But he does it. He makes a decision. He can no longer remain in his role. He cannot be just a protector. He must be a guide. The warrior approaches the wall. He doesn't see it as an obstacle. He sees it as a challenge. He approaches and inserts the key into an invisible slot. He turns it. Not immediately. At first, it stands like a mountain. At first, nothing changes. But in that moment, you realize the warrior's strength has not been destroyed. He does not disappear. He remains, just as you do. Together. A rumble sounds. Stones begin to move. Instead of crumbling, the wall shifts, rearranges itself. Stone blocks recede, like gates, opening a path. Forward. He becomes part of you again. You feel his weight, his support. He doesn't leave. He remains here. He remains with you to move forward. You walk. You are no longer afraid. You know that now you are not alone. You and the warrior and the king and the child. All parts of you unite. You can walk. You can move because now you are whole. And with that feeling, you will step through this path because you know that ahead lies a new world, a new chance, and everything will be different. You stepped forward, and the gates rumbled shut behind you, leaving no way back. You stand in an empty corridor, heavy stone walls enclosing you on both sides. A cold silence permeates the space, creating the sensation that you found yourself in the deepest recesses of your own consciousness. Ahead, only darkness and the monotonous rasp of a whetstone, grating like a premonition of an impending clash. This sound is familiar, too familiar to you. You look around, and your gaze meets him, a figure in worn armor, standing in the middle of this empty space, like an unavoidable force, ready to confront anyone who dares to step further. The warrior, the one who has always been a part of your defense. He hasn't turned to you, but you feel his presence, like an invisible barrier, a living force that will not permit a single step without his involvement. He is silent, but his silence is filled with unexpressed menace. You brought them with you. His voice echoes through the empty walls, like the screech of metal. I feel them, the one who babbles, and the one who will sit on the throne. I built this fortress so silence would not lead us to ruin. Here is safety. Leave, and leave them to me. You freeze in place, understanding that for him, these are not just words, but absolute truth. The walls he built were not created to protect you. They protect him. They protect him from you and your allies. You feel the child inside you shrink. His presence, his vulnerability, your own fragility under the pressure of this coldness. You feel the king inside you clench his fingers tightly, ready to give an order, ready to take control once more. But you stop them both. It won't be like it was before. You cannot defeat the warrior with force. You know you cannot oppose him with the same weapons he always used to protect your integrity. You cannot simply push him aside. You take a step forward, and your words echo in the empty corridor. I came not to fight you. I came to walk together. The warrior silently turns. His face is hidden behind his helmet, his eyes unseen, but you feel the gaze he directs at you penetrate to your very core. His face is a mask, concealing everything he once protected, everything he considered his duty. His hand grips his blade, and you know he is ready for battle, ready to destroy everything you are trying to build. There is no place for your words here. His voice is sharp, like sheet metal. There is only the wall, and there are enemies who want to destroy us. You will not pass. You raise your hand. In your hand is the mirror. It is not a weapon, it is not a threat, it is merely an offer to see what you are trying to hide from yourself. "Look at me, warrior," you say, turning the mirror towards him. But you don't direct its reflection at him. You hold it so he can see what is hidden in your depths, not in you, but in what you have ignored for so long. In this mirror, he sees not his opponent, but what you protected, what he protected for you. The warrior, seeing the reflection, slows his movement. His blade slowly lowers, and you see his eyes soften. His gaze is now not coldness, but fright, confusion. He stands, unmoving, and you see his hand clench his sword even tighter, as if trying to hold on to something he had long lost. He must be safe," the warrior says, his voice now not a screech, but a restrained struggle. We cannot leave him." You approach him, you don't speak words, but you understand that in this moment, you are not opposing him. You are not taking the path of violence. You raise the key, not to open a door, but to reveal something within. You extend it to the warrior, and he silently takes it. "Open this door," you say, not flinching from his gaze. But not as a jailer, but as one who will show us the way forward. The warrior doesn't answer. He slowly turns the key in his hands, and you see his fingers clench, how he feels its weight. He knows it's not just a metal object, it's something that can change him. He approaches the wall, gazing at it. The wall before him is not just a barrier. It's not just an insurmountable obstacle. It is his own fear, his own silence. He inserts the key into the keyhole. Not a visible one, but a palpable one he feels when he resigns himself to the need to change. Everything happens instantly, like a rupture. The wall does not crumble, as one might expect. No. The stone blocks begin to shift, not destroying, but rearranging themselves. This is not destruction, this is transformation. The wall becomes a bridge. It yields and changes its form. Everything around you stills, and you see the space before you open up. You feel how in this moment, the warrior ceases to be a barrier. He becomes a guide, one who has passed through his internal limitations, one who opens the door, but no longer keeps it shut himself. He looks at you. You see his gaze change, how he understands that he is not just a protector. He becomes the one who leads forward, because now he trusts you and himself. You take a step forward, but now you are not alone. Now you walk with him. A step, and darkness closes in, like icy water. The stone walls of the corridor press in, smelling of damp and iron, the air ringing with silence. But this ringing is not empty. It is filled with a rhythm, steady and resonant, like the heartbeat of a fortress. You walk forward. The king inside holds his posture. Your inner order keeps you from straying. The child stays close, his breath light, but his eyes wide. He isn't afraid. He's curious. And beside you walks the warrior. Heavy, focused, silent. His steps sound like hammer blows. His hand still grips the key, as if he's afraid to release it, like a battle trophy that might be needed at any moment. "Are you leading us?" you ask, feeling the cold stone penetrate your shoes. The warrior nods. "I lead, but the path is still untested. This corridor is not just a road, it's a test." His voice is grating, but there is less hostility in it now. Now it is the voice of a mentor, stern but honest. And suddenly the corridor awakens. Silhouettes emerge on the walls. Shadows, distorted and familiar. You recognize them. These are the figures of people you closed yourself off from. Those from whom you hid in the fortress. Their faces are elongated, twisted, but in each there is a trace of a familiar gaze, the cold strictness of a teacher, the weight of a father, the mockery of a peer, the indifference of a passer-by. These are them, the warrior lowers his head. Because of them I built the walls. They struck. They laughed. They demanded. I couldn't let it happen again. The shadows begin to stir, as if coming alive. Their mouths open in a silent scream. Their hands reach out to you, as if to grasp your throat. The child inside shrinks, hiding behind the king's back. The king, on the contrary, stands straighter, as if wanting to meet them with an order. You take a step forward. These are not them. These are my memories of them. They no longer have power over me. The shadows approach. The sensation, as if 100 hands are ready to close around you. The warrior raises his blade. Give the sign. I will destroy them. His voice is sharp, ready for battle. But you see how in his eyes, behind the helmet, behind the steel, there is not only fury, but also fear. He has lived by this weapon for too long. You raise the mirror. Light from it falls on the walls, and the shadows distort. You aim it so the warrior himself looks into the reflection. In it, he sees not enemies, not figures from the past. In the reflection, the child, small, sitting on the floor, drawing luminous lines with his fingers. The shadows retreat. Their silhouettes tremble, blurring, as if water is washing away paint. The warrior freezes, his blade trembling in his hand. Is he still here? You nod, always. It was for him that you kept the walls, but the wall turned into a prison. You protected, forgetting whom you protected. The blade slips from the warrior's hands and falls to the stone with a dry clink. The warrior drops to one knee. His voice is hoarse, but no longer iron. I don't know how else. The king steps forward, his voice confident. And you don't need to know otherwise. You will remain the warrior. But your strength is not for building a prison. It is needed to keep the gates open as we move forward. The child takes a step and extends his hand to the warrior. His gesture is simple and pure. The warrior slowly removes his helmet. The face beneath it is weary, scarred, but in his eyes, not fury, but bitterness and relief. He takes the child's small hand and freezes as if feeling warmth for the first time in many years. You take out the key. It pulsates in your palm like a heart. You extend it to the warrior. Take it. You will open this path, but not as a jailer, as our guide. The warrior rises to his feet. His movements are heavy, but firm. He takes the key, approaches the wall at the end of the corridor. At first glance there is neither lock nor door, only stone. But he places the key against the surface, and it begins to tremble. First, cracks appear. Then the blocks begin to move, rearranging themselves. The stone seems to come alive, forming new shapes. And now, before you is not a wall, but a bridge, powerful, wide, stretching into the light. You look at the warrior. He is no longer an enemy, not a guard. He is a part of you, standing now to your right. The king, to your left. The child holds your hand. Ahead, the bridge extends into a glow. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And you take a step. The bridge hums beneath your feet, as if alive. Each step reverberates in your chest with a heavy bass, like the beat of a massive heart. The stone no longer seems dead. It breathes, and in that breath there is power. You walk forward, and 3 others walk beside you. The king to your left, the warrior to your right, the child holding your hand. The light ahead grows brighter. But it's not the soft glow. like in the room with the guardian, nor the cold gleam of steel, like in the fortress. It is fire, hot, pulsating, blinding. It seems to call and push away simultaneously. The warrior tenses. His hand reaches for his empty side, to the place where his blade once hung. But the blade is gone. Instead, in his palm is the key, and he grips it like a weapon, but does not raise it. "These are the gates," he says hoarsely. "The last ones." The king raises his head. His voice is calm, but with an authoritative firmness. The gates lead not to a prison and not to a fortress. They lead to yourself. The child presses closer. His eyes reflect the flame ahead, and there is no fear in them, only wonder. "It's hot there," he whispers, "but it doesn't hurt me." You walk forward, and a hall opens before you, enormous, like a forge of the gods. The vaults are lost in smoke, the air thick with heat. In the center of the hall stands a gigantic hearth, and the flame within it is white, dazzling. It doesn't smoke. It doesn't smolder. It sings. Every spark rings like a bell. And you understand, this is not fire that burns. This is fire that forges. The warrior inhales deeply, as if for the first time in years. "I know this place. I heard its call, but I was afraid to bring you here." "Because you cannot hide here," adds the king. "You cannot erect walls here. Here, everything becomes what it truly is." The child breaks away and runs closer to the fire, and the flame does not burn him. On the contrary, it plays with him, as wind plays with a leaf. His hair flashes with golden sparks, but he laughs. "Look," he cries, "it doesn't consume me, it shows." You draw closer and see. The fire reflects your life. Images flash in its tongues, first falls, first blows, faces you feared, everything you pushed inside to survive. The warrior bows his head. His voice trembles, though he tries to keep it steady. "Here I am, powerless. My blade cannot fight fire." The king places a hand on his shoulder. "And it doesn't need to. This is not a battle. This is a refining." The child comes closer and throws his drawing into the fire, a luminous line, traced in the air with his finger. The fire accepts it, and a flash illuminates the hall. For a moment you see yourself in the flame, not in armor, not in a crown, not with a weapon, just yourself, but whole. Silence. Even the flame seems to pause. You raise your hand. In your palm, the mirror. Its surface trembles from the heat, but does not crack. You direct it into the fire, and there you see all three, the king, the warrior, the child. But their reflections overlap, merging into a single face. "This is us," you say aloud. "Not parts, not roles. We are one." The king nods. The warrior bows his head. The child claps his hands, as if this is the simplest truth in the world. The key in the warrior's hands begins to glow. He extends it to you. "Now it is yours," he says softly. "I am no longer the keeper of the wall. I am a part of you." You take the key. It is hot, but this heat does not burn. It fills you. The fire hums, as if acknowledging you, and suddenly the entire hall begins to tremble. The flame soars higher, and in its heart you see the outlines of new gates. They are not made of stone or steel. They are woven from light and heat. These are the final gates. You feel all three draw closer. The king straightens. The warrior stands firmly beside you. The child takes your hand. They are no longer companions. They are you. You take a step forward toward the light, and you know, beyond these gates, there are no new prisons, no new fortresses. There is yourself, real. And the bridge beneath your feet hums louder and louder, like a drum announcing the approach of the finale. The flame ahead pulsates like a heart, and each beat calls you closer. You walk, and with each step the heat intensifies, but there is no fear within. The king, the warrior, and the child do not disappear. They do not dissolve. They walk with you, but you already feel. Boundaries are blurring, their voices intertwining into one. You approach the gates of light. They are not closed, not locked. They breathe, and their breath matches yours. This is not a barrier. This is a mirror, magnified to the size of the horizon. It reflects not only your body, but everything you gathered on your journey. The king's strength, the warrior's resilience, the child's vivacity. You raise the key, but now it is not needed, because the gates themselves respond to your movement. They open not with a creak, not with a rumble, but with a soft, deep sound, as if a great harp has sounded somewhere in the heavens. Light pours over you, but it is not a flash. It is a current, and you step into it. The heat does not burn. It strips away. It strips away everything superfluous, everything superficial. The crown melts and becomes part of your blood. The warrior's armor transforms into the strength of your muscles. The child's light spreads through your veins. Everything that was parts merges into one. You walk, and every movement is an act of creation. The wall is gone, the bridge is gone. Everything around you transforms into a space that you yourself construct. The ground beneath your feet becomes firm with your step. The air fills with breath. Light is born wherever you look. You no longer seek a door. You are the door. Inside, there is no struggle, no dissonance. Voices have merged into a choir, and this choir sings one melody, forward movement. For the first time in the entire journey, you feel not survival, not battle, but the simple and magnificent, life. You look back and see that behind you is not emptiness. The rooms you visited remain. They have not disappeared. Each has become a place of strength. At any moment you can return to them, to the shadow, to remember humility, to the guardian, to find balance, to the king and the child, to hear harmony, to the warrior, to feel support. They are all within. But now your path goes further. The light around you gradually softens. It does not blind, but warms. You emerge from the radiance and find yourself on a plane you have never seen before. Before you, the horizon. Without walls, without doors, without obstacles. Only a road, stretching into the distance. You take a breath and feel. The air is new, but it is yours. There is no heaviness in your chest. There is spaciousness. Every step is no longer a test, but an act of creation. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet but clear voice sounds. Not the king's, not the warrior's, not the child's, but your own. It's time to live. You take a step forward, and the road opens.